Welcome back. A vaccination pop-up was hosted at Constitution Park on Friday. Family life educator with the Bureau of Health Education, Janelle Alexander Dupree, says accessibility is key when getting the population vaccinated.
We had to encourage persons and let them know they could come and get the vaccine. It's free of charge, it's also voluntary. But also if you come and get the vaccine, it'll assist us and help St. Lucia get back to the normal. Help us to be able to get back to having our socializing and to enjoy ourselves with each other, being able to have our family gatherings, being able to have our parties, our love and sharing for one another. So once you come and get your vaccine, it's very easy. You just come with your ID. We register you, you get your vaccine. You have a 15 minutes wait where we monitor you to see whether or not you get any allergic reaction to the vaccine. And after that, you go home. And there's a 10 weeks in between you get the second dose. You'll also get that date when you'll be able to return. We will also be having the pop-up shops tomorrow at the SNS Plaza in Grosse Lane.
It was encouraging to see men coming out to take the jab.
I had COVID-19 a couple of months ago, so I had to wait before I took the vaccine. And there was a drive today.
Well, what convinced me to take the vaccine is it seems necessary based on the seriousness of COVID, you know. And it compelled me at some point in time for me to come and do this thing. And based on what I'm seeing in India, you know, the gathering that's been occurred there and how people are very complacent and they're not serious about taking this thing. And I'm seeing like the amount of people that are dying there, you know, not only that, the fact that you see like people don't have a place to be buried. I mean, it is that serious to see the negligence of people, you know. So, I mean, it's not only that, but I mean, for job-wise at the same time, I felt I needed to do that and did my research, and it seems like something that's legit, so.
The Ministry of Health informs the public that during the week of Monday, the 31st of May to Friday, the 4th of June, the COVID-19 vaccination drive will cater to the general population 18 years and older for the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine as well as those receiving the second dose. Individuals visiting the vaccination sites to receive the second dose of the vaccine are asked to walk with the vaccination card which was given when the first dose of the vaccine was administered. People are asked to walk with a form of ID to facilitate the registration process. It is also recommended to come with a light snack and water given the possibility of a waiting time to get vaccinated. The vaccination sites will be operational from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. On Monday, the 31st of May, those sites will be the Soufriere Hospital grounds and the VG Sports Complex. On Tuesday, the 1st of June, the vaccination sites will be the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds and the Philip Marston Grounds. On Wednesday, the sites are the VG Sports Complex, the Denry Mothers Preschool. On Friday, the 4th of June, the vaccination sites are the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds, the Jack Mel Wellness Center and the VG Sports Complex. The Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives, Ezekiel Joseph, provided an update on the status of the NFTO board and the government of St. Lucia's stance.
The new chief representative for the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, in St. Lucia is Mr. Hiroyasu Tanakawa. He was greeted with warm reception by government ministers Honorable Ezekiel Joseph and Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert in their first official meeting recently. Mr. Tanakawa apprised the ministers on Japan's commitment toward the Choiseul Bay dredging project and the status of the Miku jetty procurement, among other areas of cooperation. Tanakawa says the Miku jetty is currently being manufactured in Japan and will hopefully be shipped to St. Lucia by the beginning of 2022.
The contract on the producing of the equipment has already been done March 2021, and now the supplier is producing the necessary equipment, and hopefully coming October they will send the equipment to St. Lucia, and maybe January 2022 it will be delivered to the St. Lucia.
Honorable Dr. Rigobert, who is parliamentary representative for Micoud North, is pleased with the timeline and looks forward to the eventual commissioning of the jetty.
I'm excited by this news. Thank you very much. And to the extent that, as I understand it, that the jetty is being fabricated in Japan, so that by the time it gets here, we're looking at a very short installation period and commissioning of it. So these timelines are exciting. I'm even more confident that we are going to have a jetty for the fishermen. So I eagerly look forward to the completion of the project. Thank you very, very much.
The JICA chief representative also reinforced his government's agreement to dredge the Choiseul Bay as a short-term solution to the silting problem. He noted that assessments prior to a contract for execution would involve a Japanese consultant mission to the island to determine a sustainable relocation for the dredged sediment. This trip, however, has not yet been confirmed due to the scarcity of COVID-19 vaccines in that country. Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives, used the opportunity to forward requests made during discussions with Mr. Tonakawa's predecessor for assistance with integrating more technology and larger vessels for fisherfolk. He also refreshed a petition for assistance to improve fishing infrastructure in Labrie and expand the Dennery fishing port.
Some attention would be given to Dennery. So again, I just want to at least profit the opportunity to inform you that some discussion have taken place with your predecessor and your authority as it pertains to the Dennery situation, and I'm going to continue to engage your good office under your leadership as it pertains to the situation in Dennery.
Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives. 2021 marks the 25th anniversary of technical cooperation between the governments of Japan and St. Lucia. For the Government Information Service, I am Jessie Leonce reporting.
The month of May has been designated as Reading Month in St. Lucia, and in support of this, the St. Lucia Early Learners Program of the Department of Education hosted a book launch. The books were written by St. Lucian student and teacher authors of the OECS USAID Early Learners Program Right to Read initiative.
The Early Learners book launch is in support of the theme of this year's Reading Month, Readers Are Creators. 18 published texts written by a total of 19 students and teachers were on display, and authors received their personal copies to share with family and friends. The books were published by Caribbean Reads as part of the OECS USAID Early Learners Program's Right to Read initiative, which began in 2017. One of the aims was to develop locally made reading resources so that students of the OECS can have access to authentic, relevant reading material to enhance their learning and love of reading. Angel Caglin is the Curriculums Officer for English Language at Kamadu.
Really, we want to look at this as a first step to having more locally authored texts in the classroom, in our classroom libraries, in our school libraries, and in our instructional curriculum. So, for anyone listening to this program, whether it is today or tomorrow or sometime in the future, consider this the opening ceremony for more publications authored by our students, by our teachers, and by our community members.
The books range in topics from music to poetry about St. Lucia and its culture to children's experiences such as district road races, hot air balloons, superheroes, family experiences, and animals. The education specialist at the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, Rafa Gordon, says the vision was to address challenges experienced with reading among students of the OECS.
We're putting so much emphasis on buying books from the outside to have children to read. And I know from being a former teacher and working with the Ministry of Education, working with teachers directly, that we have so much talent out there. We have teachers who are superb writers. We have students who are superb writers. And I remember some of my students when I taught at this Iris Simmons Secondary School, students that persons may underestimate, may assume are not necessarily the most capable. And I think back to some of the writings that I got from some of those students, and we realized that rather than putting all the emphasis on getting commercial material that is being produced by people who are, for the most part, outside of the region, we need to celebrate our own.
Chief Education Officer Dr. Fiona Philip-Meyer says the students need to be recognized in a substantial way.
I want to see our students on NTN. So we need to organize another presentation to the wider public where they can show off. Because too often we look at the things that are not so good and we amplify them, but the ones that are positive, we leave them to lie low. I do not want this to lie low. I want to see them featured. The media houses keep calling me, I'm going to be calling them. Can we have our students read their book to them? Feature them. Highlight their successes.
Copies of the published books will be made available to all infant and primary schools across St. Lucia, as well as in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, and Dominica. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Stay with us, there's more news after the break.